These are the plaintiffs, Justin Tuosto and Carolina Roa. Justin says he and his girlfriend were going to move into an apartment the defendants were renting, and one day before they were going to bring their stuff over, the guy calls them with a cockamamie story. He told them they couldn't live there because he was getting divorced and he had to sell the place. Suddenly, overnight, you're getting divorced and he can't move in? Doesn't make any sense. They're suing the flip-flopper defendants for $5,000, but all they're now out. These are the defendants, Ramadan and Spressa Neela. Spressa says she didn't want to rent to an unmarried couple because if they broke up, one person wouldn't be able to make the rent. They never even had a deal for the apartment. No lease, no handshake, nothing. These people have no case, and they're sure the judge will agree. They're accused of wiffle waffling. The defendants have filed a countersuit for $5,000 for false accusations, aggravation, and lost wages.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated and come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
Welcome, ma'am.
Justin Tuosto?
Yes.
And Carolina Roa?
Yes.
You are suing Ramadan and oh, no way. 4 vowels in a row, can't do it. Go ahead. Spressa Nella?
Yes.
Okay. For $5,000 that you feel they should pay you for breaching a lease for a studio that you rented from them. You have a counterclaim against them for $5,000 for false accusations of rent, aggravation, and time from work. Okay, what happened here?
Well, at first, in the beginning of June, we got engaged. We seen the apartment on.
Is there a ring on her finger?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And we seen it on Craigslist.
How old are you guys? How old are you?
I'm 27.
How old are you?
17.
You're 17?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you have a baby?
No.
No, you're just 17 and wanted to be engaged. Wow. Okay, go ahead. I'm sure you're marvelous. I'm just.
So we seen the defendant's apartment on Craigslist. I called him. I went there and we looked at the place. Ramadan said that he had to talk to his wife. He loved us. There was 1,000 people calling about it.
Okay, is this a studio apartment out of their house?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd be in close
it was
proximity.
basement, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then a few days later, I just kept in contact with him, and he said, "Congratulations, we're going to give you the apartment." So I go over there.
So you agree to how much?
At first, it was going to be security, and 1 month security, 1 month's rent.
In the amount of what?
$1,100.
Okay.
And then he wanted
$1,100 a month in rent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And $1,100 in security.
Okay.
Then he wanted $550 for 2 weeks. So from
For prorated for that month.
So yeah. So we were going to move in the 17th, and from the 17th. We were giving them $550, and then on the 1st of July, we were giving them $1,100.
Okay, and so what happened?
On the 17th, we were at college. She was signing up for college. I get a call in the morning saying that he can no longer rent the apartment because he's selling the house. Now, I said, I'm in school right now. Can I call you back?
Okay, had you paid him anything?
I gave him $550 for the 2
When had you
weeks.
given him the $550?
On the 15th when he gave us the keys.
On the 15th when he gave the keys,
Yeah.
and you gave him $550. How?
In cash.
Did you get a receipt?
No.
Okay. Did he give you $550?
No, Your Honor, he did not give me any money.
When did he call you and say you've got the place?
On the 13th.
And then he told
we
you
went over
that-
there on the 15th to move our stuff in.
Did you move your stuff in on the 15th?
We moved our stuff in. And
What's the
then
stuff you moved in?
We moved in clothes. We had luggage.
Anything else?
Just luggage. And I told him I was going to move in.
Okay. How did you
bag.
get in to leave the luggage?
The key. He gave us the key.
When had he given you the key?
2 days prior.
On what day did he give you the key?
The 15th.
And he gave you the key in return for you giving him the $550?
Yes.
Or he just gave you the key and you didn't give him any
No,
money?
he gave us the key in return of the
All right. So you bring your stuff in on on the 15th or on the 17th?
No, the 15th.
Okay, and then you get a phone call from him on the 17th.
Early in the morning.
And he's saying, oops, sorry.
Yeah. And then he said that him and his wife were getting, I called him later after we got out of school, and he said the reason was he was selling his house.
Okay.
And then he said him and his wife were getting a divorce. That's the reason why.
Okay. All right. So what did you guys do when you got that phone call?
I go to the house, I called the police and got a police report.
Why do you have to call the police?
Why do I have to call the police? Because
He took our stuff
we
out.
took our stuff out.
Oh, well,
and
you
put-
skipped that part. I'm asking you what happened, but you're just jumping all around. He calls you and he tells you, I can't rent you the place. My wife and I are getting a divorce. Listen. What happened next?
Then he said, I got your stuff. I went into the apartment. I put your stuff outside.
In the curb?
Yes. He said, it's on the porch. And I said, on the porch. I say, I can't even come and get it. And he said, I got eyes on it. So when I show up, he's not even there. I said, well, you got to come here because I called the police. They're on their way. He turns around, said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. He comes up, the police are already there.
So do you have a police report?
Yes.
May I see the police report? Hand it to my bailiff. What's going on, Ramadan Nella?
The plaintiff came up to me and looked at the apartment, liked it. I said, I told him I have to discuss with my wife.
Okay.
She's 50% owner of the house.
Yes, of course. Okay.
50% owner. I called her up. You talking now? Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
He called me up and he told me that there was a potential buyer in zone. I said, did you find out
Renter.
everything about a renter? And he says they're, a young couple, they're dating and so on. He says they don't have any deposit down. They don't have the upfront security. And I said, what do you mean? We went from one person to two people. I said, we should be having individual, one person there. It's not a basement for two people. I said, I don't want two people in our basement. I said, and they don't even have any security or 1 month upfront. So that was another problem.
Right, but they're claiming that he rented it to them.
Yeah.
No.
So 2 days later, my sister calls, who's pregnant. She found out she was pregnant. She has a little kid. Her apartment wound up not being available for another 6 months. She calls me up and says, I need a place to stay. I said, you know what? Forget it. Let's not rent it out. Tell them that forget it. Nothing was done. My sister's going to stay down there rent free.
Is your sister there now?
She's there now. Yeah. And I have papers.
So which
here.
is it? Did he rent it to them and then you wanted it for your sister, so you kicked them out, or did
No, I
he
didn't
not
even
rent
agree
to
to it. I told them
How do
I
they
didn't
have
want
a
two
key?
people. I don't know how they have a key.
Well, they can only get a key if your husband gave it to them.
Yeah.
No.
How
He
did
says
they
he
get a
didn't.
key?
I didn't give him a key.
And you never took $550 from them?
I never took $550 from them. That's the
And you
truth.
never gave them a key?
Never gave him a key.
What proof do you have that you...
I have on video me opening the door and closing the door, and a voicemail of me talking to him saying that him and his wife
Well,
are
let
getting
it rock, baby. Let's hear it.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey 11 here. So, plaintiff is 27 years old, and his fiance is 17. Is that okay, or is that creepy to you?
That is creepy.
Why?
Because if you're 27 and you're going and hitting on a 17-year-old, much less becoming her fiance, you have issues.
What do you think?
I mean, I'm going to have to agree. I feel like that's a little weird, like especially since...
What's the cutoff then? I mean, a 27-year-old should not date anybody younger than...
anyone you can take to the bar.
So 21?
Yeah, 21.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity. Unfortunately, with my family, so I'm going to...
Can't even answer.
I can't answer that.
Miranda rights going inside the courtroom.
You have on video what?
That's me talking to him. The morning of, and him saying that they're getting a divorce and they're selling their house.
You're
And
not getting divorced, right?
And I also
Hold on.
Yes, it's Justin. Hey, Justin. What's up? Yeah, nothing. So I'm having a hard time. I don't understand, like, how you can just kick us out. Like, it doesn't make sense.
If you want to know, my wife and I go through divorce.
Okay, I understand that, but how could you just kick us out after we move in? I don't understand. Like, you should have told me. You should have told me this from the beginning. This is I don't understand. Now you go downstairs and you put our stuff outside.
The point is that we go through divorce, and she wants to sell now.
Okay, I'm coming over, and we'll have a further discussion about this.
Okay. Why is he able to open up the door to the studio if you never gave him a key?
I didn't give him the key.
How is he able to do it? Show him that. I want him to tell me if that's the apartment. Is that the apartment? Is that your apartment, ma'am?
Yes.
And is that them going in with the key?
I would say
You want to
so. I don't
rethink
see
that
their
about
face.
whether you gave them a key?
I don't remember giving him the key.
Okay, and you want to rethink that about whether you paid $550? Because when I listen to the audio of you talking to him and you don't say boo about $550, and I look at the police report and you don't say boo about $550, in fact, you say the opposite, no rent was to be paid until July 1st, it kind of sounds like you're lying about the $550 being paid, just like he's lying about the key being given to you.
I'm not lying about anything.
Really? Why wouldn't you mention once in the phone call or the police report that you paid $550? That's the first thing I'd say if somebody kicked me out after 20 minutes. I paid you $550, you so-and-so. How dare you keep my $550 and throw me out to the curb? The first thing you'd be saying is I gave you $550 of my hard-earned dollars, but you made that up for court. And you made up that you didn't give him a key, or I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt that you forgot because I understand that you went through a stroke a while ago. You've got no excuse.
If that was the case, I would have got receipts of me going to the city to pick up her stuff and everything else.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have a really simple question, because if you're a liar about that, I don't trust you on everything else. And that's the problem that we have. Okay? That's the problem that we have, because you got greedy. You couldn't just come in like two kids who were wronged, who had a contract that they expected to be able to rely on, and it's not fair. Look, I had to rent this other apartment farther away at a higher cost, and I feel like I should get the benefit of my... First of all, you don't even have a lease. So the only benefit you would ever get under the eyes of the law is 1 month benefit, not 12 months, because you don't have a signed lease. So you have what is called, in the eyes of the law, a month to month. That is what you have. However, I find that you don't even have a verbal lease that had started yet, because the agreement was that it was supposed to begin on July 1st.
I also
on your claim against them, zero. What is your counterclaim? False accusations of rent, aggravation, and time from work. You're kidding me, right?
Mostly just today.
Okay, yeah, really? And that's worth $5,000, and you just saw that your husband did at some point give them a key. Did you ever get that key back?
No, I still have it.
Do me a favor, give my bailiff the key, because you don't want to get in trouble for something that may be missing from that place. That's not a very smart idea. On your claim against them, zero. On your counterclaim against them, also zero. That's my verdict.
Let's see what the plaintiff has to say coming out here after losing this case here. Step in and right next to him, please. What's your reaction to the verdict, first of all?
It's crazy. She looked like she was on our side.
She caught you lying about the $550.
Didn't lie about anything. I mean, $550.
Okay,
Else he wouldn't.
You recorded the phone conversation with him, and in the phone conversation, you never mentioned anything about $550. Why not?
I was just trying to see why he was wronging us. I don't understand why he was kicking us out. So
why didn't you mention anything about the $550 during that conversation? I mean, he's wronging you. You're keeping my Why didn't you say it in the phone conversation?
It didn't come to mind. I just wanted to know why he was kicking us out.
So did you guys find somewhere to live and you're okay?
Yeah. I mean, she didn't let us speak too much, but I had to live at my father's house and pay him rent for 2 months, and then we found the place.
Okay, good. Right down this way. All right, step on in here. Tell me how you feel about the outcome of this case here. Stand next to her.
I thought it was fair. I mean, there was no exchange of money. There's no contract. There's no lease. I never met them. I'm half owner of the house. And
just for record, he's lying about the $550. He's lying about to his teeth.
Yeah.
Okay. Yell at him about giving them a key. Go ahead. Do it right now.
Yes, I will.
Yell at him.
How dare you do that? Here's the key back. Thank you.
Harvey?
By the way, the tape recording here was in a one-party state, meaning all that has to happen is one person on the line needs to know about the recording. In many states, like California, everybody on the line has to know, and if they don't and you record them, it's a crime. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.